So, customer success is complex. If you actually think about it, we're practicing a profession that didn't really exist a few years ago. When we founded the company, there wasn't any customer success. Nobody was a customer success manager or executive. So naturally, there's a lot of still missing pieces there. There's a lot of unclarity about what should be the KPIs, what should be the processes. And mainly what we see with organization is, people bring a VP of customer success or customer success organization because there's some kind of a problem, but what are these guys doing? They have many people and there's a lot of activities, but what is that? So what I'm going to try to do today is really help you connect some of the pieces. I think if you actually do that by demonstrating your customer success impact to your other peers in the leadership team and other people in the company, you'll be able to get them to help you get your job done. And you'll also help them get the job done, and the company will actually benefit. So it's all about how do we connect the puzzle, connect the pieces, and make meaning out of it. Just about me, if we haven't met before, I'm one of the founders of the company. Really fortunate to work with, I would say, hundreds of companies in the last 9 years, all sizes, all stages, advanced and novice, and really fortunate to be in this journey, and thank you guys for actually helping us in that journey. I think customer success is very exciting, and it's really exciting to see this profession being built. So many of you know me. If you don't, please reach out after the session. More than happy to speak about customer success. And also more than happy to speak about RV trips. That's one of our family's tradition. Really, we've done 6, and we're actually planning the next one in summer. So if anybody wants tip about customer success, also about RV trips, I'm your person over there. Also in the East Coast, I did some things there. So what I want to cover today is, first I want to convince you why it is very important to keep demonstrating your value, your impact to your leadership team. I think this is something that if you're a leader in customer success, should be on top of your mind. However, there's not going to be a cookbook, there's not going to be a recipe exactly to tell you how to do that, because there's tons of different companies here, and each company has their own style. How do you run management meeting? How do you report? So what I'm going to do is actually provide you with some ways to think about how to organize the information that you need to provide, to present. I'm going to speak about some important topics that you need to cover. And if we have time, drill down into some best practices and KPIs. You heard a lot about KPIs and goal during the conference. We really believe that's key for that. So those are the things that we're going to try and cover today. But first, why is it so important? So I actually started this by writing why is that important for different roles in the company. That's going to be the next slide. But when I thought about it, it's really about winning. If your CEO isn't asking you right now, she should be asking you right now, are we the best customer success team out there? And if you're able to actually get to that level with hopefully some of the methods I'm going to show you today, it's going to really help you be successful as a company. We see a lot of companies that one of the competitive advantage is what are we going to do with you after we won the deal. If you are able to have a discussion with your customers and tell them, this is where you are right now, and these are the goals that I have for you and for my team for you, and these are the ways that I'm going to guide you to that, that's a competitive advantage that you actually help you win deals. In addition, if you have any company here that is fundraising, it used to be like the secret sauce. Some investors ask, what do you do in customer success? It's table stakes right now. If you want to raise money, you should show them that you're actually the best customer success organization out there. So hopefully after this session, you'll have some tips and ideas on how to up your game, how to up the level within the company itself. But I think it's really important to understand why is that important for you and other people in the organization. What's in it for you? What's in it for them? And I'm going to start, if you're a customer success executive, then I think one of the first things that is really important is how do you help simplify the customer success complexity? And I want to pause on this for a second. I always give an example comparing customer success to sales. I would never say sales is easy. But sales is a simple process. It's a one linear process with KPIs that are pretty clear, right? Everybody knows what the KPIs for sales are. In customer success, it's complex. If I'm going to ask each one of you, how's your onboarding going? How's your adoption? How's your customer success? I'm going to get different answers. So one of your most important jobs, as I think about it, in the company, is make sure everybody understands this. Make sure the complexity is being simplified. If you do those right, you'll be able to do those things. Then it's not just about the goals, it's how do we get there? Because sometimes we reach our goals, sometimes it takes a quarter more or less. And you need to have a way to really explain to the other people in the company, what is it that we're doing? Why is it so difficult sometimes? Why do we need different type of people? Why it takes long time? Again, people do not know those things, right? They are only familiar with sales and support. Customer success is a new thing out there. Recognition, I wouldn't undermine this. Again, if you want to be a very recognized executive, that people appreciate that. It's different when they don't know what you're doing versus they really understand what is that you're doing. And also ask for help. How do we get other people in the company to help us? If we have a churn problem, an adoption problem, retention problem, that's not only the customer success problem, right? It's everybody else. So by explaining what you're doing and asking each one of the people for help, you'll actually be able to get to your goals. If you're not an executive, but you are actually in the customer success management team, I think one of the things I'm hearing a lot from teams is that we're alone. We're like fighting. They send us to fight alone. Nobody's actually helping us. If you are in a department that will get this kind of collaboration, really get into more customer-centric culture, you will not feel alone. But people need to understand what are you doing, what are your KPIs, what are the things. You'll also be able to understand that you actually make an impact. Because if you have very specific goals that can align to what you're doing, you will see whether you're making impact or not. It's not about running activity, it's about getting to your goals as well. And obviously, if you're a CSM that wants to be an executive later on, these are the kind of things that you'll need to be able to speak about. But this is why we need to explain it to the other executive in the team, but what's in it for them? Why is that important that they will understand? So one of the things we really hate in management meetings are surprises, right? And there will be surprises. Not everybody reaches their goals and something. If you're able to align the team, the executive team, that they will understand exactly what are the things that you're doing, where are the challenges, how do you forecast, those things, you will be able to eliminate surprise. If you only speak with them about, I have a churn goal, and by the end of the quarter, oh, I'm surprised, that's not going to look good. So one of the first important things is really eliminating surprises. You also need to connect them to customers. I really think that successful organizations are the ones that have a customer-centric culture. It's one way just to tell them, go and speak with the customer. It's another way to say, okay, these are the type of programs, these are the type of activities, these are the type of challenges we have, and this is where we need your help. And obviously, they need to understand how their actions lead to customer result. The basic example would be product, right? If we're developing the right product, the right features, we'll see more attention. But can you explain to the marketing executive or the sales executive how their action leads to that? Again, that's something that need to think about it. But obviously, I think somebody gave an example yesterday in one of the sessions, Jeff, I think, that their CRO actually decided not to get the deal in because he knew that wasn't the right fit. So that's the kind of discussion that you'll need to explain to your sales team as well. And obviously, if you do those things right, your company performance will increase dramatically. For the company, customer-centric culture. Really, I cannot underemphasize this. How is that important? And while I don't think you are the only one that can do it, you are the one that actually needs to lead it. You need to be the quarterback. You need to change the mindset. And I think one of the ways to actually expose the other executive team and make sure everybody in the company, up and down, are actually aligned with customers, are really explaining what are we doing in the customer success team, why is that important, how does that make an impact. Focus on team collaboration, how can we work together as a team, how we can affect those things. And obviously this will result in improving the product. You will have a better product as well, you'll have better processes and financial performance as well. So now that hopefully we understand why is that important, and why is that important not just for you, but for other people in the company and for the company itself, I did want to spend some time about what are the different ways to really demonstrate the impact. And again, that's not a recipe or a cookbook, it's just a set of thoughts and ideas to help you weave that into how you are going to present to your CEO or your management team. So I'm actually going to start with some different point of views. And I think the main point of views are by category and by role. So when I'm helping companies to prepare a presentation, prepare a meeting, prepare a report, these are usually two of the lenses that we're actually using. One is by category. If I'm a customer success executive, usually I should be in charge of increasing organic growth, increasing customer centricity, and improving margin and efficiency. So if you present something to your management team, speak in that language and have the right KPIs, increasing organic growth. What's my retention rate, expansion rate? What's my customer health? Again, these are just examples, but think of it, what should be your KPIs for how do I prove that I am increasing organic growth? Customer centricity, right? NPS, CSAT, feedback, community, those kinds of things, measure those as well. And improving margin efficiency, usually these are for the more advanced organization, but keep that on top of your mind as well. How many CSM do I need? Can I actually improve the ratio or coverage between that? Can I actually do more with less resources, with more technology maybe and automation? Am I spending time on the right processes? So figure out ways not just to run processes, but always keep optimizing specifically if you're a public or about to be a public company and do that. So again, one lens is what kind of category am I presenting this information in? The second is also very important, is by role. Your CEO is not always interested to hear everything, right? And there's a lot of things that we can speak about because we are running at least 5 major processes. We have a lot of customers, a lot of activities and programs. But usually when you talk with the CEO, she'll be interested learning about, what are the main programs that you're actually running and what are their financial results. Obviously, a CFO start with financial KPIs. That's what's important. But again, also improving margin and efficiency should be very, very important though. If you're speaking about with the VP of sales, how can we help them, right? If we can provide more case studies, more references, more expansion revenues, these are the things that are really relevant for them. So again, these are just tips on how to prepare a different presentation, maybe a different report, really based on, am I going to a one-on-one with my CEO? Am I sending a report to everybody else? But think of category and think of role in that. Now let's speak about how to present. And again, I'm not my place to teach you how to present to your management team. I'm hoping that you can do it much better than I can actually explain to you. But again, if you're a CSM that wants to grow to that position and actually judging by, I would say, our experience, what's really working, these are the things that I would recommend to emphasize when you have an executive level discussion. This always start with status, start with the KPIs, because that's easy to understand and people remember numbers. Again, assuming that we explain what those numbers are before, so start with the numbers. But are we going to achieve our goal? The number one thing in the management meeting, are we hitting our goal? So that's my number. Am I going to hit my goals, yes or no? But also speak about trends. I think trends are very important. Let's say, for example, I have a goal of making sure that I meet onboarding the timeline. And right now I'm on 60 days. Now, 60, good or bad, that could be different. But if that used to be 80 and now it's 60, I'm actually doing an amazing job. I'm actually showing how am I improving. I may have not hit my goal yet, but I'm on the way there because I know how to get it from 80 to 60, and I will know how to get it from 60 to 30. So really make sure that you need to explain whether that's better or not, and if it's not better, explain why. I think one of the things I really learned is that in order to be successful, you need to be able to run different programs and innovate really quickly, because some of the programs are going to work and some are not going to work. You need to be very transparent to say, you know what, we hired 5 people to do those kinds of things. We run those processes. That's not really working. And I think we need to change those things. So be very transparent with those things. What are the activities that we're actually executing? What are those programs? What's working? What are the ones that are not working? Again, don't do it in every meeting, but think about those things. Already 5 minutes left? No, I think you're missing. It's probably 15 minutes, but that's fine.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay. I like this very much. What do I need from you? You need to have meetings with your other executives, weekly, monthly, really, you decide the cadence, but how can you help me achieve my goals and how can I help you? You need to have a discussion with your VP of product, with your chief marketing officer, with your VP of sales, with engineering, with even the CFO. They can help you. They should help you in something. And make sure you ask for that help because, again, that's one of the ways to be a customer-centric organization. And use data. We always like to tell a story, right? Yeah, I think we're going to hit our churn rate. I spoke with those customers and I'm happy. If you've ever been in a management meeting with some really great sales leaders, they know how to focus. They know the data. They know what's the pipeline. They know that the qualified deals means that they had 8 meetings, spoke with that people, they have the data. You guys have much more data than they do, really. So, I mean, use stories. It's always great to use stories, but really up the game, raise the bar, use data to say, why do you think you're going to hit your goals? Why do you think you are improving? And from time to time, you learn about what kind of data. But there's really tons of data about what your customers are actually doing, what your team is actually doing, what's working and what's not. So make sure that you include data in your presentations as well. Just some other tips on how to present. Obviously, again, there's could be a lot of things to do, but other things to include when you're presenting to your management team. Obviously, you need to be able to discuss specific accounts. If you have some strategic account, even on the management team meetings, that should be relevant. There are some accounts that are much more important than others. You need to be able to understand when do you need to actually emphasize and speak about them. Escalations, Vido here actually ran an escalation session yesterday that spoke a lot about how do you run escalations, but we are managing escalation. If you have some critical escalations, it needs to get up. It needs to be, again, remember eliminated surprises, raise that to the management team. Maybe you need their help, maybe you don't, but they need to know about those things as well. Feedback from customers, insight, NPS. You're the quarterback. You're the one that needs to expose those insights to your management team. They need to know if customers are happy. They need to know what's wrong. It's not just about scores. It's also about some insights, so analyze those things as well. And obviously, suggest areas for improvement and learnings. Again, remember, the reason that it's so different is that if I would be a CEO of the company or other executives, I have experience with sales, I have experience with marketing, I know what they're doing, the discussion is easy. A lot of the times people do not understand or don't have experience with what we are doing in customer success. So if you come and say, these are the areas that I think needs improvement, these are my learnings, as an executive, you really help yourself and the company. And also in some cases, think about who's presenting. Accountability for the customer success team is really important. So if you have, for example, a strategic account that you speak about, bring the CSM. She'll be able to actually have a much more authentic voice than you and explain more details about it. So from time to time, think of how you expose the other people in your team to your peers as well. But now let's speak about some methods. Again, we spoke about what kind of information you can actually present and how to present that, but there's different ways to, and I'm going to use the word change the mindset. We've all been there, right? We need to fight to align the company. We need to change the mindset. We need to explain to them why is that so important? Why is that sometimes difficult or not? I think it's always difficult, by the way, but it's fun. And why is that so important for the company? So some of the ideas that usually we like to help with our customers with are here. So obviously, if you have a live dashboard, Success Blocks could be a great example for that everybody has access to the data. I actually really believe in being transparent to everybody in the company. So we have a dashboard that everybody can really access. I think 99% of all KPIs in the companies as well. So think about the dashboard that you can actually present to the management team. If you're a part of the E-team meetings, again, focus on results, on forecasts, on challenges. That's the format that you actually should do there. I would definitely recommend to send weekly or monthly report. Again, you guys know your company better than I do, so decide on the cadence or on the audience. But this is mainly where you bring your voice. So it's not just about the number, it's about what are my insights. So I've told you last week about my KPIs and things like that, but this is what we've learned. This is the status of the important accounts. These are the main programs that we're running. Customer feedback, again, really important to do that. One-on-one. If you haven't scheduled that, other than your CEO, have one-on-one with your other peers. Really, weekly, bi-monthly, monthly, really depending on your stage, but get them into the game. So explain to them what are the specific relevant metrics for them regarding to customer success, and how do you guys work together. I think in Totango, for example, we've done an amazing job in actually connecting the customer success team to the product team. And it was by working on metrics. And of course, product, the most important metrics are adoption. So we work together on adoption metrics, on processes, and we've actually assigned responsibilities. So there's a lot of collaboration between those teams that really helps the company. So you should do it with other executives as well. Two last things I really love. I think those are really educating the company on what's going on. One is a monthly learning meeting or meetings. It really depends on what your status. If you have a churn problem, so a churn analysis meetings, for example. What happened? What can we learn from it? Again, invite everybody. I'm not sure, the CEO doesn't have to be in those meetings, for example, but you need to own those things. You need to actually run those programs. So churn analysis, escalations meetings, like the great VP of sales always do a win-loss meeting, right? Every month or every quarter. We need to do those things as well in customer success. We really need to up the game. And my favorite is actually customer show and tell. You would not believe the impact of actually bringing a customer to speak in your management team. We're doing it every 2 to 3 months. We need to do it more often, I know. But either bringing somebody to our office or having a Zoom just for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But a customer that tells your team, your executive team, about their point of view, about their challenges, but also their benefits, it's amazing, amazing impact for your company. So I highly recommend to have a customer show and tell. Lunch and learn could be other ways to do that, but think of how you can, I would say, get your customers to also help you in those things as well. Now that we understand, again, importance and how to and what to and the ways to do that, how much time we have sometimes? I want to drill down into metrics, and that's probably, hopefully, that's the 5th time you hear about metrics in this conference. And I really think metrics are key, because metrics are the key to help you align your team and align your company. If you don't have metrics, it's all about stories. So the key is really defining what are the right metrics for you, and I can guarantee that your metrics are going to change. I think I was just at a SAP meeting, and they have their own metrics right now, but the 9 months after launch, they're going to have different metrics in 6 months. I can guarantee that as well. So keep that ongoing. I just want to give you a rush through the main metrics that I think you should actually be presenting. So start with financial. Are we hitting our financial goals? What is our forecast for our financial goals? Are we being efficient? These are, again, are just examples. That obviously, again, you can do with Totango, and if you don't know how to do that, our CS team is more than happy to help you in that. But the story here, for example, is, if we use our revenue center, churn goal was 50K in Q3, and we actually already lost 100K, which is bad. So you can see, I actually have this. So you can see churn goal was 50K. Unfortunately, we lost 100K, and the team actually forecasting a very large churn. So we're going to have a churn problem. And where is that? Q3, I don't know. But we actually had an upsell of 200K, we're already 250, and we're going to hit 334. Okay, that's again just an example on how you have a discussion about financial goals. What's the goal? What is the forecast? What is the status right now? Are we going to hit that? And again, we have 27 accounts to renew, representing almost $1.8 million ARR. This is our forecast. This is our CSM to ARR or accounts. There are many other KPIs or blocks that could be relevant for you, but think about what are the things that you need to build. Now, I want to add a disclaimer here because I've worked with many people, and when you give this task to your business operation teams, sometimes you get a laundry list of 50 KPIs, right? Because it's very easy, and those people are data driven, and they can build those things, and it's cool, and it's great, and I'm not saying you don't need it, but you probably need it managing the team down. When you present it up, think of, for every topic, maybe 1, 2, 3 KPIs that are important for the other person. The CEO doesn't have the bandwidth or the span attention to actually absorb more than that. So although you can create a lot of things, think of what are the right important things for you. The same goes for onboarding. Are we meeting timeline? Are we providing excellent onboarding experience? What's the quality? So here, for example, we're actually 60 days on average in onboarding, which is far away from our goal. So I need to improve something in my onboarding process. I also see that 12% of my accounts are actually late. So if I would be another executive, I understand my onboarding. I understand that we had a time to complete goal, which we're not there yet. I understand that customers are okay, not that satisfied. They gave us a 6, the target is 7. But I understand that we do provide a high quality onboarding because 2 weeks after onboarding, 77% of the users are actually using the system. Just a story. Again, think of what is your right story for that. But we do recommend to measure onboarding with timeline, experience, and quality of that. Escalation video now. So if you haven't, there's going to be a recording. Video had a comprehensive session yesterday about managing escalation, but right now I'm managing 15 escalation, which is okay, but $5 million at risk, which is not okay. So what am I going to do with that? I also see that the trends are going up. So we have more and more escalations lately. So if I would be a good customer success executive, I would be able to also explain the goal, the reason. I would say that most of the escalation, I don't know if you can see it from the back, but because of value perceptions. And the second issue is product quality. So I know I need to do 2 things. I need to work on value, and value could be a messaging, a product, or a training issue. And product quality, I need to speak with my VP of engineering and ask why we have so many bugs, for example. So again, a story that another executive will understand. If I'm going to add 15 other more KPIs and parameters here, they will be lost. Adoption. My best one, by the way, I think adoption is key to everything in customer success. So there's really a lot of ways to do that. But and Shelby did a good presentation yesterday with SAP explaining those things as well. It could be different approaches, but really, our customers are adopting our product and are they using the important functionality. Now, our customers adopting a product could be very, very big thing to present. So really crystallize it. Think what are the 3 main KPIs that you should actually presenting. Usually it's about utilization. Are they actually using the licenses that they've bought? Are they actually using it that deep? And whether the ratios are increasing or not. And voice of the customer. You're the one that are in charge of it, right? Our customers are happy with that, with our product, with our services. What are the main reasons? So what I'm seeing here is that the average NPS score is 6. It's actually increasing. So we're doing something better, but 6 is still a low score. I do see that 30% of our accounts are detractors. 30% of our accounts are not happy, are far from being happy. What am I doing to that? But on the other side, 48% of our accounts are referenceables, right? They give us reference, which is a plug for last time. If nobody had time to give us a G2 Crowd review, please do. And what are the reasons? So if I'm, again, a good executive, I'll be able to analyze and say customers that are not satisfied, they're not satisfied with pricing, and then product performance, and then support, and then product functionality. So if I would be another executive, I would ask, how can I help you, improve those things? If I would be a VP engineer, I know I cannot affect pricing, but product performance, that's my job, right? So your job is actually to be able to present those kinds of things. So just in summary about the metrics, these are the different, I'd say, building blocks that I think you should be able to present. Again, different levels, different formats. But financial metrics, whether that's churn, expansion, whatever you're responsible for. Onboarding, time, experience, quality. Adoption, it's about utilization, depth, frequency, and sticky features. Escalations is how many accounts and what are the reasons for that. Voice of the customer, satisfaction, reason, and reference. So just my key takeaways. There's a lot of things that you guys are actually doing, and we know those are important, but you really need to change the mindset of everybody else in the company. If you're lucky and you have a very customer-centric organization already, that is great. I think you're like in the top 2% probably. So you need to keep working on that. You need to be able to enable customer-centric culture, and you can do that by sharing data, reports, dashboards, meetings, analysis. Be vocal, explain your insights, give your voice to that. So it's not just about presenting the data. You're the one that is in charge of analyzing the data and saying what needs to be improved. Ask for help. If you're not currently asking for help, you're doing something wrong. You cannot do everything by yourself. And there are other executives in the company that have the same goals that you have. Everybody's about improving the financial results, right? We need more customers, and you can influence wins, as I showed you before. And we need those customers to be happy and grow with us. And that's a major influence of the customer success. And everybody needs to be in that game and help you with that. Bring your customers. If you can bring your customers to share your experience, hopefully that's some of the things we've done today with you. So again, customers here are speaking about their experience, not just with Totango, but with the practice itself. So that's very important. But think about really using the right metrics. I think I've seen some executives doing the mistake of simply presenting dashboards like this and long list of KPIs and metrics. Executives don't have the bandwidth to deal with that, right? They have their own metrics. So don't drown them with too many details. Figure out the right metrics for the right audience. You understand who you speak with, what's the right format, and really present that. So with that, this is my email. I would give you my phone, but nobody's giving phone call. Really, I don't have a problem sharing my phone. Any question that you have about customer success, whether that's Totango related or not, as you saw, I'm very passionate about it, so very happy to have a discussion today. After that, just send me an email. More than happy to do that. But I wanted to see if any of you have any question about the presentation. Any questions? Yeah.
So we have a scenario where...
You want to use the mic or? So.
Yeah.
So we have the helper that. I saw somebody raising a hand. I didn't understand why. I didn't know it was you. Here, there's a question here from that.
Kind of a point that we touched on in the SAP session. We have a scenario where we are asking for material investment to grow out the function at scale. And looking for some leading indicators on what returns or metrics that we could put in place to drive obvious depiction of return on what that investment would be.
Yeah.
You know, we might go over an extended time horizon, but we'll be under pressure from the first quarter, having received the investment, to start driving some form of messaging back into the executive that it is money very well spent.
So I would categorize it into two things. One is the ability of the customer success team to run programs, right? You could say, you know, that in day one, we're only able to deal with onboarding of new customers and manage escalations, firefighting, right? Usually that's what customer success organizations trying to do. But my goal within the next 2 months is actually introduce an adoption play and an expansion play and advocacy and reference. So at the beginning, measure the programs. How many programs I'm actually able to run? Also measure, I would say, efficiency metrics, like am I able to cover my entire customer base in the way that I want them to be covered? For example, that's a good segue to introduce a one-to-many program. So with one person in technology, you can all of a sudden cover a lot of accounts. Obviously, programs is just the start, because again, you can run many programs, but if you're not getting your results, then that's it. So eventually, people want to see improvement. And improvement is also it's in two categories. The final one is the financial results, right? We hire the customer success executive because we want to see a lower churn rate and a higher expansion rate. But as we know, those takes time. And as we know, you can not always influence that by yourself. So I do recommend to decide on the leading indicators. And one of the most important ones should be onboarding. So I would really focus the customer success team at the beginning to say how we are improving onboarding and adoption. How are we improving adoption? Did we get our customers to use more license utilization, more features? These are leading indicators that can show that you're doing the right things, and ideally those will translate into those financials. You have to measure those things all the time because not always, you thought this would be a very sticky feature, and you thought that if you increase the adoption of the feature, it will lead to high retention, and it didn't. So analyze it, understand this, and change that. So, but the status of the programs and the status of the results with leading indicators. Okay. No? Any other question? Okay, so thank you very much. Really use my email to ask any question, and hopefully these are the things that we're able to teach you today. Why is that important? How to present it? And what are some important KPIs? Thank you very much.